Greetings, gods and goddesses in training. Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara. All relations. Today we're going to be talking about channeling, one of my favorite topics to dive deep about. Now, the first thing for you to understand is, of course, you're always channeling, okay? Don't think that for a second you're not, because you are thinking thoughts. And what are you doing? Those thoughts are just being channeled, right? You are the resonance, you are the broadcast. So the main thing for you to understand first is to choose what you want to broadcast. Your thoughts, your moods, your scrolls, your gossip, all of it is one frequency. So that means intention becomes your firewall, your protective measure. Without it, you get hijacked by the collective timeline, algorithms, and other people's unresolved drama. So when you're channeling and you experience doubt, it is actually static. So you have to treat it like it's static, okay? Because there is like a 20% of distortion that you're gonna have to go through every time that you channel. But for me, I think that beliefs, or this inner knowingness of expression from creating this vortex, that there is greatness on the other side, that I need to do this in order to heal myself. And when I'm healing somebody else, I'm also healing myself. And I'm understanding that everything is in a rhythm, a cycle, the law of rhythm. So everything is seen as a ceremony. These were some epiphanies that I had received after attending, watching the recordings of JF Bro, okay, who is a trans channeler, and he is very, very potent in his transmissions and teachings. So we can open these microgrids of source called a vortex. A vortex is essentially anytime you set a container in intention, there's a vortex of space, of energy that you have access to. So you gotta step into the current and let the field do the heavy lifting. Stop trying to force projections or different things on top of your channeled material, okay? Sending love to somebody, distance healing, whereas you just close your eyes and you send energy coming in through clean white source light through your hands out into your fingertips, creating a ball, a chi ball, the energy of your hands and your heart chakra, sending it warmth. You can imagine it as a specific color. And then you imagine that the other person is sitting across from you, and then you hand them that chi ball. And another thing you can also do is you can just throw the ball. If it's distance healing, you just throw it and know that it will receive the person that you're trying to heal, right? But this is all possible through what? Intention. So try not to just save your spirituality for just the yoga mat. You know, go for a run as a way to charge your energy, right? And make it intentional. Work with the deities of running. When I take a shower, I work with King Nixa, right? A water spirit energy, the elemental king of water. When I'm freestyle rapping, I'm using Hermes' energy, okay? So every time that I'm doing a different thing throughout my day-to-day, I'm actually channeling, I'm actually tapping in, as you'd call it, or locking in to that specific field. So you set the space, you declare your intent, you breathe in through each chakra point, just cleanse them up before you call upon the channeled energy that you're trying to receive from. As you receive it, you are now giving. So there is this flux happening internally. So we're channeling the non-physical into the physical. This understanding and knowingness that this vortex exists for you in order for you to do this is a big catalyst for your channeling. Most people are living in a cycle they're very unconscious towards, and a lot of people also go to sleep unconsciously. So sleep is like unconscious channeling, because you're getting these images, but they're very fragmented, right, and staticky. That's why a lot of us, we don't remember our dreams. But if you've ever been lucid inside of a dream, you know that you remembered every single vivid, enriching memory, and it's still there in your mind, right? So don't disconnect and dissociate from the pleasures of life in order for you to channel. Those pleasures are there as portals, not always as distractions. So you have to sometimes treat them as the medicine that was needed in that time for you to get the piece of the character archetype that truly resonates for you to move you forward in this journey of channeling. So if you treat your left side as the feminine, right side as the masculine, because the opposite brain hemispheres, right? You can notice the energy of giving and receiving from your shoulders, right? Very powerful. And your organs are always giving you these like karmic headlines, right? So you're actually a multiplayer soul in this game called life, because there's different split fractals and versions of you, all happening multidimensionally, all plugged into one mainframe, source energy. Call the crew in, and then you get out of the way. You're just like the watchtower. You become the ground station, not the general. Now, there's a lot more we can talk about: astral projecting, grid work. By the way, we're headed to Sedona in December. We can do soul retrievals and receive these karma points, essentially. And there's a lot more we can dive into, but I want to give you the basics of what's going on here. So a lot of the times what happens is there's astral debris that blocks our channel, okay? So it gunks it up when we sleep, when we're doing unconscious activities, or when we are giving our power away, our sovereignty away to something outside of us, like a substance, a thing that is taking our power, right? So that can be an entity attachment. So in order to work with them, you have to figure out what they are in order for you to create a game plan against them, right? Almost like a war map. You kind of have to think in terms of a war general and strategize in order for you to just allow it to be, right? Like most people are stuck in limbo because they don't have the clarity. To surrender into that experience, you'll start to notice that I've actually released most of what I need to release. Now I have a clean slate in order to move forward into my next mission. So it's not about you micromanaging and trying to say the right thing when you're channeling. Don't try to sound smart. Don't try to sound clever. Allow. This is a completely a process of getting out of your own way, letting go, learning to let go, right? Because you are now filling your head up with more head trash. If you're thinking in terms of revenge, anger, hatred, and backlashing against people, you're going to be stuck in that cycle. But if you're regularly grounding and cleaning your temple and resting as needed, which is so important for every single channeler to do that. And I don't just mean sleep, right, guys, as rest. Most people think I'll just take a nap and it'll be fine. No, I'm talking about deep rest. Okay, you're depressed because you need deep rest. You want to get into savasana, lie flat on the floor somewhere, or on the bed or ground, and just allow. And you can even try to channel differently by seating and just recording yourself on Zoom or even on your phone, and just keep doing these sessions with yourself. And in the beginning, I had to experiment with myself before I got in touch with Ryan G, and we started to run this kind of experiment, and it is now today what it is today, right? So it took some time for me to get the ball rolling in terms of these channelings. And if you would like to attend one of our channelings, we do it every Wednesday, okay? So you got to join the Telegram group if you want to get a taste of that. That's my service to humanity right now, okay? That's my social work. So if you have any issues, you come with those issues, they get solved swiftly. A lot of the times these beings that we work with are associated with peak performance shamanism, so they will help you activate towards your greatest self, okay? So very, very powerful and potent, and I'm truly honored and grateful that these beings have agreed to work with me and agreed to be channeled, right? I've had to go through a lot of BS in the beginnings, discerning between false light beings and different energies that were trying to siphon from me and so forth. But then I started to really regain my sovereignty back and start to understand that I am my own heart quarters, in a sense, right? So I am the lighthouse, and I'm just bringing in this light and holding space for that light to do what it needs to do to express the right message as it is time to do so. So sometimes you'll put in a feline aspect, Lyran aspect of you, or a starseed fractal aspect of you. Other times you'll bring in, some kind of a hybrid energy, maybe from the mid-astral or lower astral, maybe there's going to be like some kind of a lineage master associated with you in your path, or your past lives that may have accumulated this karmic debris. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. So I understand if you're feeling overwhelmed just beginning this journey. So the easy thing you can do is just, you know how freestyle rappers write lyrics, or they call it key styling, right? Or just automatic writing, right? Why don't you start with something like this, or you start with something like just gibbering light language, and making it easy for you to get into a resonance, get into the vortexes that you start creating. Because every time you set a container and an intention, zoom, vortex, right? So you can then now be the Stargate master, right? And create these portals as you choose. And then you start using even the things that you're consuming much more consciously, right? So then it doesn't become an addiction, it becomes a relationship. So that's a big difference in the distinction, because I do not allow lower energies and entities to siphon from me now. Source gave me responsibility to guard and honor this vessel. And make sure that you're also channeling and keeping it very playful. You don't want to bring up super serious topics. I understand whenever a channeled being brings up a doomsday prophecy or something very dark or negative, I usually ignore it and understand it as a part of my mind fragment, or some kind of a projected paranoia, or maybe even a false light being trying to siphon the stream, or trying to, hijack, or someone's trying to hijack the stream. There's many things that can go down. So I treat each message as if it was just that, a message, right? I don't attach my storyline to them. I'm not like, oh, I need to worship you. No, I know my mission in this life, and I know that I can create these vortexes of energy with my intention, my will, and my attention. But how cool would it be if you just, like, let's say you're eating an orange, and you start to thank the tree and the guardian spirit of that tree that gave birth to that orange. Now you have a different resonance, and you have now extracted way more life force energy from this orange, you just eating this orange. Now it's not just eating an orange, it's a ceremony. You've ritualized it. You see what I'm saying here, guys? So you can actually ritualize and channel throughout the day. Now, of course, some people can get very heady in terms of their ritualizations, right? This is where we get into more of an OCD, right, mentality, where the rituals start to become harmful to us and actually taking away from our sanity, our peace, and our inner health. So this is why you have to bring it down into your heart space and feel into it, as well as keep it in the mind, and then you'll feel what you call coherence in the field. So as you start seeing yourself as these different chakra points with a different torus field running through it, and just like a tornado, you see a house flying and some cartoons and different things floating around. It's almost like that, right? It's a symbolic, you're creating the tornado, and then you're bringing in the different things that are spinning alongside there, right? And they're being held through this energy, this frequency, right? So that's exactly what I mean by vortex, because you're going to get a fragmented message in the beginning, okay? It's not going to be very clear and clean. But once you start to clean your channel, and you start to understand, like I bathe with, a sea salt soap, and I, ground my feet into the grass. And sometimes I'll just slap myself like Paida Lai Jin, right? Or like tap on my body meridians and start humming randomly, right? And that may seem completely bizarre and atrocious to the ordinary human being just walking these streets, right? Why are you doing that stuff? Hey, cut it out, buddy, right? That's most people, right? They get annoyed with somebody else's expression because they themselves have stifled their own expression, right? And so don't try to cling onto other people's ego mind identity based on your channeling. Like, it's the wrong way to go about it. My parents still don't know that I channel and what that even means, right? They choose not to care, okay? So that's fine. I'm not there to explain myself. I'm there to be a representative of my inner world, right? And only I get to decide how my inner world is being portrayed on the outer by my communication through my throat chakra, through my understanding of my expression being a bridge. And that's why I need to work with Hermes in order to do this too, so I can bridge the spiritual world with the physical and start to bring in these energetic downloads to help myself, my tribe, and eventually humanity, right? As the tribe and the collective shifts, and someone, senses this video on YouTube, and they shift in their consciousness and their realizations, it starts a ripple effect, right? It starts a domino effect across the planet. So we don't see it oftentimes, but there's many times where people in the comments have reminded me of this. That, bro, don't stop doing what you're doing. Keep moving forward. You deserve a lot more views, etc., etc. Okay? So the right people will find this. I'm not here to do it for likes or views, but I know that I have a mission here to teach you guys and speak from my remembrance, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this today. I hope this helps you out. If you need further guidance on this, just shoot me a message, because I do teach people this, and we have a mystery school with a lot of different teachings and styles, and you can learn from every channeled recording we've ever done. You get access as an adept, so great offer, okay? Maybe this offer will be gone in the future, who knows? But for now, it is there. It's available for you for a small membership fee, okay? So channeling isn't this woo-woo thing. It's data transfer across time. It's flow of information and energy that isn't bound by time or space. As we hear from Dr. Helena Wabe, a top researcher with the Noetic Institute. So this is not just spirits talking for humans. It's any moment when the human nervous system becomes a radio for the infinite field. Intuition, gut hunches, artistic inspiration, clairvoyance, trance, healing, prophecy work. All of it sits on a vibration or frequency of knowingness. Everybody has a noetic signature, according to the Noetic Institute, where it's your personal way of tuning into source. So that means every channel is different. Just like snowflakes, every signal is unique. Some roar, some whisper, some paint, some sing, some speak, and there's no better channel. You cannot compare two channels and say, like, this is the better channeler, okay? Now we're just getting into ego games. The only question you should be asking is, how clean is your receiver? From the Oracle of Delphi to Bon tradition, shamans, yogis, to Taoist sages, 90% of human societies had channeling traditions. Why is it that we still associate this stuff with seances and witchcraft? The West, of course, demonized it as witchcraft, whereas science dismissed it as delusion. But both religion and reductionism are just different ways of saying, I'm scared of what I can't control. So the old model was that the humans are like these meat machines, and consciousness is like a side effect. Whereas now we understand consciousness is fundamental, matter is the echo. So this is a post-materialist paradigm, and channeling proves that this universe is a web of awareness. It's not just a clunk of atoms, okay? There is data. Yes, channelers can dissociate and hear inner voices, but this is without paranoia and collapse, like most, psychosis patients or someone with schizophrenia. So that means this is an expansion, not an illness. And in the research, over 90% of people report at least one kind of channeling type event. So the more open you are, the more stronger your signal gets. This is why open-minded people and individuals are better channels. But of course, you still have to have discernment on the path. From lucid dreaming to mediumship to full trance possession, they're the same river, but it's just different depths. So our intention can actually alter physiology at a distance, from like Rupert Sheldrake stuff. So when you focus attention, randomness bends. Your consciousness tweaks probability fields. And this is where science starts catching up to mysticism, and it gets exciting for me. Okay, my nerd brain of esoteric information starts lighting up. Everything is entangled in this non-local mind. Meditation, stillness, and quiet, and focus, quiet the noise for you to then perceive the signal. So the more coherent your state, the more clearer your transmission gets. Because channeling is the coherence meeting the infinite. It could be coming from our unconscious mind, higher self or transpersonal self, psi field, super psi field, psychic reservoir, akashic field, or even actual entities, right? So women more likely report in channeling because it requires that yin receptive energy to receive messages. Okay, it has nothing to do with gender. There's a lot of male channelers out there too, but this high empathy, openness, and presence is very likely in certain women. And you're able to tap into the flow easily as a channeler, okay? This is why I was so fascinated with channeling, because it was like a quick access to flow states for me. So it's not a gift. You can train this like a muscle of awareness. You can practice by emptying the noise, trusting in your intuition, and integrate what comes through is through your grounded action. So the true channeler doesn't escape the world, they translate the unseen into service. It's not about floating off, it's about remaining a clear conduit between the infinite and the incarnate. So the real mastery isn't talking to spirits, it's letting spirit talk through you. I hope you understand and get this. Thank you so much for tapping in. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. May the flow be with you. Stay legendary, flow mashkaram and flow stay to infinity and beyond. Let's keep winning and crushing it. Osa, let's win.